It's midnight and you're tuning into Nightline with me, Liyana Hassanel. The top stories. Economy to continue getting stronger in second quarter, says Finance Minister. And Sri Lanka PM to resign, make way for all-party government. Good morning. The government cannot combat inflation alone, and all members of Keluarga Malaysia is urged to join forces to ensure the nation's economic recovery. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the government was trying its best to tackle the impact of global inflation, which included the setting up of the Special Task Force on Jihad against Inflation.
Hari ini, seluruh dunia berhadapan dengan cabaran ekonomi yang antara lain berpunca daripada konflik geopolitik dan perubahan iklim global. Ia menjejaskan kehidupan seharian kita semua. Namun begitu, kerajaan sentiasa mendengar dan memahami denyut nadi seluruh keluarga Malaysia. Kerajaan pada masa kini sedaya upaya berusaha untuk menangani impak inflasi global, termasuk menubuhkan pasukan khas jihad tangani inflasi.
Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said this during a special Hari Raya Aidil Adha address aired live on national television networks Saturday night. He said the spirit of sacrifice practiced by Keluarga Malaysia would make the country strong and continue to progress in facing the challenges ahead. In fact, he said the spirit of tolerance based on the concept of tasamuh in Islam is one of the important elements to maintain the unity and well-being of Keluarga Malaysia. The Prime Minister said an open-minded attitude allows us to continue to develop and protect ourselves from disagreements that will only harm the Ummah. He said the willingness to sacrifice wealth to help the poor was a virtue called for by Islam, and it was a symbol of our obedience, piety and servitude to Allah. The Prime Minister said Aidil Adha, which is closely linked to repentance, sacrifice, togetherness and gratitude, gave great meaning to Muslims to continue to live in harmony despite various uncertainties and setbacks. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also called on members of Keluarga Malaysia to set aside political differences and prove their repentance and gratitude by jointly enhancing the dignity of religion, as well as fostering good relations with friends from other races and religions. He also expressed his hope for the well-being and safety of more than 14,000 Malaysian pilgrims in Makkah and for them to accomplish Haji Mabrur, or proper Hajj that is accepted by Allah. Malaysia's economy is expected to continue getting stronger in the second quarter of this year. Finance Minister Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz said this was following the encouraging gross domestic product GDP growth of 5% in the first quarter, including the continued improvement in wholesale and retail trade. In a statement on Saturday, Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul said the economy was gradually improving and had expanded based on various indicators for May. To speed up the recovery momentum, he said the ministry had kick-started engagement sessions to establish measures that considered the needs of stakeholders, and that the 2023 budget will emphasize structural reforms and boosting economic resilience. Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul said with its theme of strengthening recovery, facilitating reforms towards sustainability of economic resilience and well-being of Keluarga Malaysia, the government will continue to focus on the well-being of the people, businesses and economy. Based on the latest developments, he said Malaysia would achieve the forecast growth of 5.3 to 6.3% for 2022, in line with the 5.75 and 5.5% growth projections made by the International Monetary Fund and World Bank, respectively. Among the main indicators that point to the improvement in the economy is the drop in the number of unemployed people to 637,700 from 649,300 in the preceding month, with the national unemployment rate remaining at 3.9%. He said the labour market recovery continued to stabilise in May in tandem with the higher demand for goods and services. Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul said the Industrial Production Index for May was up by 4.1% year-on-year, driven by electrical and electronic products, which have increased by 15.5%. The country's trade performance also remained resilient and maintained its growth momentum. Trade increased 33.6% year-on-year to 228.4 billion ringgit in May, the 16th month of double-digit growth since February last year. Moreover, he also said the May 2022 data showed wholesale and retail trade recorded the highest sales since 2013, growing 19.9% year-on-year to 129.8 billion ringgit, which shows a recovery in domestic demand, which continues to strengthen.
The anti-hopping bill will be tabled in the Dewan Rakyat on July 18th, says Law Minister Datuk Seri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar. He said there was no need for the government to hold a special sitting to table a constitutional amendment for an anti-hopping law, since the second meeting of the 5th session of the 14th Parliament is just 9 days away.
As reported by a local news portal on Saturday, Datuk Seri Wan Junaidi expressed his conviction that the tabling will carry on as planned and expressed his confidence that there would be no more obstacles or arguments on the bill. He also expressed optimism that they will receive approval from all members of Parliament, which will enable the law to be gazetted as soon as possible. Last month, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob decided that there is no need for a special parliamentary sitting on the proposed anti-party hopping bill. Datuk Seri Wan Junaidi then said in a statement that several factors had been considered during discussions with the Prime Minister, namely how government finances saved without the holding of a special sitting can be spent on other matters, such as helping the people survive. The introduction of the anti-hopping law, which was initially supposed to be tabled during the March parliamentary sitting, has already been postponed several times previously.
Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah on Saturday expressed his appreciation to those who took immediate action to help flood victims in Baling, Kedah. Comptroller of the Royal Household of Istana Negara, Datuk Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin said His Majesty also expressed his sadness over the occurrence of floods in several villages in the district on Monday.
In a statement on Saturday, Al-Sultan Abdullah expressed his condolences to the family of the 3 victims and hoped that they would remain patient and resilient in coping with the loss. Datuk Ahmad Fadil said Al-Sultan Abdullah also called on the government and non-governmental organizations to provide assistance to the affected people to ease their burden. He added that His Majesty also expressed hope that the affected residents, especially those who have lost their homes, will be patient in facing this difficult time.
In other news, there is no need to set up a Royal Commission of Inquiry, RCI, to investigate the floods and water surge phenomenon that hit several villages in Baling, Kedah. According to Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Datuk Seri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar, an RCI does not have specific powers, but is only able to submit proposals for government consideration. Elaborating further, he said the investigation will usually take around 6 to 7 months to complete before the report is tabled in Parliament. After which, he said the report will return to the Cabinet Ministers for them to choose which proposals they want to implement. Datuk Seri Wan Junaidi concluded that there was no need to set up an RCI regarding the incident. Instead, he said what was more important was to look at the existing aspects of law enforcement.
Ronaldo Sancho goes on the outside. Sancho! Still offside.
Mampukah Erik ten Hag merubah nasib United? Atau Jurgen Klopp terus lebarkan rekod Liverpool? Pertembungan pramusim 2 gergasi Liga Perdana Inggris hanya di TV 9 dan Astro 149.
Police detained 5 individuals, including the operator of a travel agency, to facilitate investigations into a scam involving the Hajj pilgrimage. Wangsa Maju District Police Chief Superintendent Ashari Abu Samah said the 2 men and 3 women aged 30 to 60 were detained during several raids in the city.
He said to date, 23 reports were lodged related to the scam with alleged losses amounting to 760,000 ringgit. He also said the case is being investigated under the Penal Code for cheating. It was reported recently that some 380 prospective pilgrims were stranded at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, believed to be victims of a scam by a travel agency. Those who gathered at Level 5 departure hall of the Kuala Lumpur International Airport were believed to have been issued private Hajj visas without going through Lembaga Tabung Haji.
Meanwhile, across the country, a total of 57 police reports have been lodged so far over alleged Hajj scams. Police Secretary Datuk Nursia Muhammad Saiduddin said losses have been estimated to be around 2.3 million ringgit. In a statement on Saturday, Datuk Nursia said most of the reports have been launched at Selangor with 25 so far, followed by Kuala Lumpur with 23 reports made involving some 1.38 million ringgit in losses. 4 police reports were received in Pahang involving some 874,000, while 1 each was recorded in Pulau Pinang, Perak, Negeri Sembilan, Johor and Terengganu, with losses of between 16,000 to 38,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, Datuk Nursia said police are probing a woman who allegedly insulted Islam during a performance at a comedy club. A video recording of the performance has gone viral.
Said an investigation paper on the case has been opened under Section 298A of the Penal Code for causing disharmony, disunity or enmity, hatred or ill will or prejudicing the maintenance of harmony or unity on grounds of religion. The case is also being investigated under Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998 for improper use of network facilities or network services. Earlier, the Federal Territory's Islamic Religious Department said it had conducted a preliminary investigation into the video recording of the performance at a comedy club in Taman Tun Dr. Ismail, Kuala Lumpur. Its director, Datuk Muhammad Ajib Ismail, said Jawi would not compromise with attempts to insult and tarnish the image and sanctity of Islam in the Federal Territories.
More local updates later in the bulletin. But first, after this short break, race to succeed Boris Johnson as UK Prime Minister begins. Don't go away. Welcome back. Ahead of the planned weekend demonstration. Following the unrest, Rikaman Singh has also been moved to a secure location where he held talks with several political party leaders to decide what steps to take next. Former British Equalities Minister Kemi Badanak on Saturday became the latest to enter the race to succeed scandal-dogged Prime Minister Boris Johnson as Conservative leader. In an article published in the Times newspaper overnight, Badanak called for change and said the British public was exhausted by platitudes and empty rhetoric. Other than Badanak, former Finance Minister Rishi Sunak, whose resignation late on Tuesday set off a chain reaction, is among the front-runners for the top job. Other announced candidates include Conservative MP Tom Tugendhat and Attorney General Suella Braverman. A timetable for the leadership contest is expected on Monday, with the winner installed by the party's annual conference in early October. Elon Musk, the chief executive officer of Tesla and the world's richest person, on Friday said he was terminating his $44 billion deal to buy Twitter after the social media company had failed to provide information about fake accounts. Following the announcement, Twitter's chairman Brett Taylor said on the microblogging platform that the board planned to pursue legal action to enforce the merger agreement. In a filing, Musk's lawyers said Twitter had failed or refused to respond to multiple requests for information on fake or spam accounts on the platform, which is fundamental to the company's business performance. The announcement is another twist in a will he, won't he saga after the world's richest person clinched a deal for Twitter in April, but then put the buyout on hold until the social media company proved that spam bots account for less than 5% of its total users. Malaysia Masters, no home shuttlers in finals. Sports coming up next. Sports. For the second consecutive week, there are no Malaysians featuring in the finals on home soil after Aaron Chia, So Woo Yik and Buletin Amtina lost their semi-final matches on Saturday.
Aaron Woo Yik, seeded 5th, had a bitter pill to swallow after their sluggish display against Indonesian Fajar Alfian, Muhammad Rian Ardianto helped their opponents to reach the final on Sunday. The 6th-seeded pair got off to a strong start as they prevailed against Aaron Woo Yik 14-21, but the Malaysians raised their game, winning the second set 21-19, forcing the game into the decider. However, Aaron Woo Yik somewhat fell off the pace in the deciding set as they succumbed easily 21-10. Meanwhile, Buletin Amtina also crashed out in the semi-finals of the Malaysia Masters on Saturday. Playing world number 1 Chen Qingchen, Jia Yifan for the first time, world number 10 Malaysians found the China pair too hot to handle as they went down 21-10, 21-19 in 43 minutes. Buletin had looked capable of staging a comeback when they recovered from 18-13 down to level at 19-19, but Qingchen Yifan stamped their class and prevailed.
Manchester United arrived in Thailand on Saturday as they began their pre-season tour in Asia. New manager Erik ten Hag's preparations have been dogged by Cristiano Ronaldo's reported indication to move, and the 37-year-old was absent from the tour. Manchester United will face Liverpool, who arrive on Sunday on 12th July at the Raja Mangala Stadium. The pre-season friendly is part of the team's tours before the top English soccer league's season begins next month. United will then go on to Melbourne and Liverpool to Singapore. Catch the Manchester United-Liverpool match this Tuesday on TV9. Still to come on Nightline. Police snap students over viral bullying video. 4 more Malaysians who were allegedly duped by syndicates that offered high-paying jobs in Cambodia were brought home on Saturday. Bukit Aman Criminal Investigations Department CID Deputy Director of Intelligence and Operations, Datuk Hussein Omar Khan, said they were among the 54 Malaysians who had fallen victim to such job scam syndicates, which had been rescued so far. Hussein said at the moment it is believed there are 5 more Malaysians who are still in Cambodia and being held by the authorities there. Datuk Hussein explained that the syndicate's modus operandi was to offer victims a job that promised a lucrative salary at call centers in Cambodia via social networking sites such as Facebook and WeChat. Datuk Hussein said once the victims realize they have been deceived, it is too late as they will be detained by the syndicate and are then not allowed to return to Malaysia.
Dan apabila mereka nak pulang tu, mereka perlu bayar sejumlah wang untuk mereka dibenarkan pulang. Jadi ada yang minta 50,000, ada yang 80,000. Jadi bila tidak ada pembayaran ni yang mereka didera, yang kita terimalah setakat ni.
Datuk Hussein said so far the Royal Malaysia Police had received 156 reports involving 189 Malaysians who were stranded abroad after being duped by job scam syndicates. Datuk Hussein said most of the victims found themselves stranded in Cambodia, which accounts for 40% of the total cases, followed by Myanmar and Laos. He was speaking to reporters after the arrival of the 4 Malaysians, aged between 29 and 41, at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport on Saturday. He said the success of bringing the 4 Malaysians home was a result of the continuous cooperation between PDRM and the Cambodian authorities, as well as Wisma Putra, Interpol and ASEAN Police. In Sabah, police have detained 6 female secondary school students in connection with a video of a schoolgirl being beaten up at a school in Inanam that went viral. The students aged between 13 and 16 were picked up at about 11:50 p.m. on Friday. It is understood the incident occurred following another confrontation that took place between the group of students and that it was triggered due to name-calling. Kota Kinabalu District Police Chief ACP Muhammad Zaidi Abdullah said they made the arrests after the father of the victim lodged a report over the incident on Friday. He added that another individual, a 17-year-old girl who is a former student of the school, has also been detained to assist in the investigation. The 20-second video had been widely shared over WhatsApp and Facebook since Thursday. Police are investigating the case under Section 147 of the Penal Code for rioting. That wraps up Nightline this time around. I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for watching. And to our Muslim viewers, Selamat Hari Raya Aidil Adha.